Hello and welcome back to Cooking Live. Today I am bringing you a new fall favorite of mine that I am so excited to share because this recipe goes from ingredients to plate in about 20 to 25 minutes. So I just know that it's going to be helpful for all of those people I've been talking to this week about how everything's back in full swing and getting dinner on the table is hard. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce pork, apple, and onion pork chops. Okay, so I'm gonna preheat my oven, or get my pan to medium high right over here, and put some olive oil in the pan, a generous tablespoon or so. We just want to get that hot. Okay, my pork chops have been sitting right here. I just use the regular thickness pork chops. I want to salt and pepper either side. We'll get the other side salted and peppered once it hits the pan. My pork chops have been sitting out for a couple minutes just to kind of take the chill off from the refrigerator. I really find that when you cook meat straight from the fridge, the outside gets done before the inside gets hot, and so you end up overcooking it, and especially with pork chops, ends up being quite tough and leathery. And so really do take those few extra minutes to take it out of the fridge and let it come to room temp. All right, my pork chops are, you can't hear that sizzle, but I can. All right, pork chops are in the pan, they're ready to go. Let's salt and pepper our other side. All right. That salt helps bring some of the moisture out of my pork chop and help get a really nice sear on either side, which is what I'm looking for. I am literally only going to cook these pork chops for 1 minute on either side. Okay? So I'm going to set my oven timer so they do not overcook. Because I'm using the thin pork chops, they cook really fast, which is awesome, but they cook really fast. So do just be aware of that. While those are cooking, I'm going to mix up some chicken broth. Low sodium is my fave. For 4 pork chops, you need about 3/4 of a cup. I'm only making 2 pork chops today, so I'm just going to put a little bit less than that in there. And then I got my Dijon mustard. About a half teaspoon in there. More if you like it a little bit spicy. And then to this, I am going to add, for 4 pork chops, a half a tablespoon, which is 1.5 teaspoons of dried rosemary, the same amount of dried sage, okay, and a lesser amount of dried thyme. I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon for my thyme. Okay. And that was my, there we go. Okay. Pork chops need to be flipped. They're getting nice and brown on the side, which is what I want. Really get a good brown sear on there. We're going to hit it for another minute on the other side. While that's cooking, I'm going to stir up my mustard, chicken broth, and seasoning. Okay? Because different brands, and we're just going to set this to the side for now. Different brands of chicken broth have different levels of saltiness, so I don't want to put any salt in my sauce ingredients, which is what that's going to become. I will finish off my dish by tasting and adjusting my seasonings at the very end. Okay? What I got right here is a sweet onion. You could use a Vidalia or a Mexican sweet onion if you wanted to. Any onion would work. I just really enjoy the taste of the sweet onions, particularly with the apples and the pork together. What I'm doing, I just took off the root end and the bulb end, and then just sliced them into my little half moons. Okay? When you slice an onion this way, you get an onion that's going to break down quite a bit. When you slice an onion the other way, you slice it this way, you get an onion that's going to really maintain its toughness. And that's why you cut it this way if you're making a stir fry, because you want all the pieces in a stir fry to hold their shape. Not so much in this recipe. Okay, so my pork chops are nice and brown on either side. They are not done, okay? But that's okay. I'm gonna move them off to the side anyway, because they're gonna finish cooking in my sauce, right? I still have a good bit of oil in my pan. Some of the fat from my pork rendered a little bit. And so I'm just gonna put my onions, smack dab right in there. I don't need any extra onion or any extra oil to add to my pan there. While that's getting started, just cut my apple up. Doesn't have to be fancy. I'm gonna cut it into rough quarters. Slice off the inner corner just to get rid of that core. Okay. For 4 pork chops, I've used 2 whole onions, or 2 whole apples, and 1 whole onion. I'm only making 2 pork chops for our video today, and so I got half that amount. Okay. Same idea. I'm gonna cut my apples into just rough slices. I want to leave the peel in there because there's a lot of good fiber. There's also a lot of pretty color in that. All right, just gonna slice up my other. Apple skins are kind of tough, so in order to protect your fingers, you want to put the tip of your knife on the cutting board and just drag it across there. I actually probably need to get my knife sharpened a little bit. When I turn it this way, it works a little bit better because I can get up underneath that skin. Okay. Pork and apples is a really classic pairing. There's a Central Illinois town that does the Pork and Apple Festival every year. And it's kind of fun because there's pork and apple sausages, there's pork and apple pork chops like we're making today. There's all kinds of things. Applesauce and pork chops go really well together. Apple butter and pork go really well together. Okay. I'm going to turn my heat down slightly. I'm getting a little smoke here. Okay. These have been cooking long enough that my onions are getting a little softened. My apples are starting to get slightly brown. You can see that there. Okay. So this is a good opportunity to throw in my sauce. Okay. Probably want to cook those apples and onions together for 3 to 4 minutes or so, just to let them get a little softened before we add stuff in. All right. And then as promised, that pork goes back in the sauce. Okay. There we go. So just to show you, ooh, and I don't want to lose this good pork juice, so that's good flavor right there. Put that pork juice back in the pan so that this can come together. Okay? I'm going to let this sit and cook until my sauce is reduced by about 2/3. It gets nice and thick. Do we have any questions so far?
We did have a question. What apples do you use most often in this recipe?
I use the apples that I like to eat because I do not like to buy 2 kinds of apples. This is a really good recipe for like a sweet, not an overly sweet apple. I'm using ambrosia today. A Jazz would work, a Gala would work, a Fuji would work. Probably not going to go with a Granny Smith because that would be very tart. But these are the same apples I cut up and put in my yogurt every morning. And I like the red color on the skin. So those would be my top go-to ones. Those are the apples that I really enjoy eating the most. Thank you for asking that question because you're right, apples, there's a variety of different kinds.
We had another question coming in about how many calories would be in this meal?
For each pork chop plus apple plus onion piece, you're looking at about 300 calories. And about 30 grams of protein if you eat a whole one of those skinny pork chops. They're a little bit more than 5 ounces raw, so they're going to be a little bit less, or just about 4 ounces when they're all cooked up. Okay? And so this dish is going to be a nice source of lean protein. I use center cut pork chops for the, or like loin cut pork chops for this. Got some fiber from the apples. I got some other fiber from the onions and some nutrients in there, and some antioxidants from the spices that I use. This is going to be cooking for probably 3 or 4 more minutes, but just so we don't all have to sit here and literally watch water evaporate, I got some Facebook magic for you. Okay? To round out that meal, I got my protein, I got my side item of fruit. I'm gonna put a complex carb here. I got some roasted sweet potatoes and some microwaved broccoli and cauliflower, but you could use whatever vegetable you like. This is what the finished product looks like. You can see we got some apples and nice pink color there. The sauce has reduced to a nice shiny glaze. And it's one of my new favorite fall meals. Seriously, ingredients to table in about 20 minutes, 20 to 25, and it tastes really good. Please, please, please give this recipe a try. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you changed it to make it suit your own taste. And I look forward to hearing from you. As always, please let us know if you liked this kind of recipe in the comments below the video, and any suggestions, anything you want to see. I would love to come and cook live for you. All right? See you soon.